Okay, here's a brief part 2 to today's lecture. Okay, a little bit about amplification. Okay, not electronic amplification, that's a whole other ball game. Just a couple of the basics here on amplification. Okay, first and foremost, the easiest way to amplify the sound is to just very simply increase the size of the instrument. So as I did in part 1 of today's lecture, if, for example, I just hold on to my guitar and pluck the guitar string, it is rather soft sounding, like so, because you only have sound waves being generated by the vibrating string and the vibrating board. However, if I place the guitar here on the desk, I then basically increase the surface area of my instrument, and then therefore I can increase the amplification, or amplify rather, the sound, like so. Of course, this becomes impractical beyond a certain point. You can only make the instrument so large. So then therefore, how do you amplify the sound itself acoustically, where you can't rely on just, say, increasing the size of the instrument? Well, here's the difference between a well-made instrument and a poorly made instrument, such as my guitar. With a well-made instrument, when you set the instrument into vibration, a pattern of nodes and antinodes appears on the body of the instrument itself. In other words, the instrument resonates. This pattern of nodes and antinodes are referred to as Chladni patterns. Okay, Chladni patterns is essentially a standing wave, if you will, that appears on the body of the instrument itself, a series of nodes and antinodes. Because there are antinodes associated with this pattern, this then means that the amplitude of the sound wave being emitted from that portion of the instrument is going to have a large amplitude. That is, it's going to be loud. So that will amplify the sound. A well-made instrument will do this. It will produce Chladni patterns equally for every note that is played. So Chladni patterns is a series of nodes and antinodes that appear on the body of the instrument. So in other words, the body of the instrument itself is resonating. So it produces a large amplitude sound wave for that reason. A well-made instrument will do this equally for every note that is played. So my guitar, for example, does not produce Chladni patterns. I can hear that very obviously because it doesn't sound all that good. But a well-made instrument will produce Chladni patterns and will do so equally for every note that's played. Okay, at this point, go ahead and pause this portion of the lecture and then take a look at the demonstration video that I've posted for you in today's folder, where I use some equipment to produce some various Chladni patterns. You will note how loud the sound is when the plate that I use in that demonstration resonates with these Chladni patterns. And I actually show you the Chladni patterns themselves by means of some sand. So go ahead and take a look at that demonstration video now. Okay, now that you've taken a look at that demonstration, this basically concludes then today's lesson here. This then concludes the materials that are present in today's folder. There is no school on Friday, that is Cesar Chavez Day. And then, of course, next week is spring break, so no instruction will occur. However, because of the growing pandemic, the exponential curve, the peak of the curve is approaching right now. This is a very dangerous time in the country. This is why social distancing now is more important than ever, because in the next couple of weeks, maybe over spring break, we're going to start to see the peak of the curve arrive, and healthcare systems are going to be overwhelmed with patients during these very dark times. So it is your responsibility as a member of society to maintain social distancing practices as much as possible. Stay safe. I wish you well. Today's shirt is Napalm Death. See ya.